The Power of Four is the first book in the Legacy of the Goddess series. It is a tale of fantasy, magic, and adventure, set in ancient Egypt in the mythical village of Neten on the banks of the great sacred river. Chapter 10. Lessons, Rituals, and Sacrifice. Ezra and Shyla were close friends now. At night, they often sat under the stars and talked. They learned to meditate for as long as they could, sitting with their legs crossed. Ezra liked to meditate. He liked the peace and calm of simple breathing in and out and letting go of worries and fears. He learned magical rituals from his mother. She taught several other students too. Among them was Shyla. Ezra never expected any special treatment in his mother's class, and he never got any. Many lessons were taught over and over again till Arya was satisfied. He often wondered why they didn't just finish the course of learning already, but he had to be patient. Shyla had to work very hard on their land, on which they grew vegetables and fruits. The work never seemed to finish, and her aunt would sometimes take over the work so that she could attend Arya's classes that were open to all, the only condition being that one had to attend all of them and be on time. Shyla made her way to the small clearing in back of Ezra's house. It was here that Arya taught them about rituals, how to conduct them on auspicious days, to read the lunar calendar, and so on. Arya began her class. Always remember to first create the square and fix the 4 points, starting from the east, which is the direction from where the sun rises. Each direction is governed by a deity dedicated to one of the basic elements. The east represents fire or creativity, passion, emotions, movement. The north symbolizes earth or permanence, earthly possessions, wealth. West represents air or knowledge, cerebral activities, logic, movement. And finally, the south signifies water, change, peace, fluidity, compassion. At the center of the square, you take your position. Open your arms wide, and you can feel the energy of the 4 cardinal points. Many students wanted to know whether passion and emotion were the same thing, and Arya answered their questions. Passion is feeling very deeply and being very fond of something or somebody. Emotions are your feelings in very simple words. There was much laughter and teasing among the students as they tried to find out whether they were just being emotional or passionate about someone. A student said, "I am passionate about her," pointing to Shyla, "but get emotional when she shows no interest in me." Arya smiled. She let them joke and laugh. She was lucky to be teaching such a clever group of young people. Yes, I know. There are a lot of debates about which direction governed which elements, but we go by the position of our great river, said Arya, as some of the students began to argue again with her about the elemental representation. The sacred river begins a journey from the south. We face the south. In other cultures, it may be different. Remember the creative forces which govern the material world. Falcon is air, that represents east. The rest of the students chanted Kevsenuf. Man is air, that represents west. The students chanted Imseth. Jackal is earth, that represents north. Damutef, chanted the students. Baboon is water, that represents south. Hapi, the students chanted. These are the 4 powerful sons of Horus, who remove all illnesses and defects. In a ritual, the lamp corresponds to Kebsenuf, incense to Imseth, Damutef is represented by soil or salt, and Hapi is water. The elemental forces are invoked before any ceremony begins. These forces are represented by the ritual implements that should come from natural sources and not from the vital force of the persons conducting the ritual. Draw the square around you, each one of you. With your mind's eye, try to visualize. Open your arms wide. This was a lesson taught almost every time they had a class. Ezra knew he had to find his father. They had been searching for him high and low, but the powerful magician had hidden himself. Now he may be in trouble. They didn't know that, but could only imagine the worst. Ezra wanted to know why his father would do such a thing to his family, instead of just fighting the enemy. Was his father not brave enough? Their family always took pride in how powerful he was. Maybe his enemies wanted to hurt his family. I am sure he has been taken away. Otherwise he would put up a fight, said his uncle Oros. He was a practical man, and always felt his older brother went into hiding for a reason, that there was more than what met the eye. Perhaps he had found something precious, which he would lose if he had remained with his family, he said. What could be more precious than family, thought Ezra. He was not convinced. He could not understand why his father closed his heart and remained invisible, and missed all the events and ceremonies that took place in their lives. Without wasting much time, Arya had started teaching him the lunar rituals. Ezra was taught how to draw down the moon's energy and infuse the energy into a chalice filled with water. The ritual done correctly turned to extremely powerful magic and had the ability to change the course of events in a person's life. Ezra nearly gave up everything else since he had to commit himself to learning the sacred studies. But he did not mind the sacrifice. He was on his way to becoming a priest. He learned to invoke the gods, goddesses into his sacred space and divine the future. Sometimes the oracle, who was Shaila, the only one in their group, would tell a prophecy, and at other times healing of a member of their congregation was conducted. Arya lived in modest quarters and was a simple person, but her magic drew the royalty to her. She made no excuses for her work, which was almost always the same and perfect for every event. Famed for its efficacy and grandeur, those who were fortunate to witness it never forgot it, and came back again and again to take part in the rituals for both solar and lunar events. Arya, on her part, was generous, and never closed her doors of sacred knowledge to anyone who was in search of it. Ezra wanted to be like his mother, command that kind of respect and loyalty from one and all. On one such occasion, they were meditating on the four rulers of the four directions of the earthly realm. Arya was in a trance. Ezra could barely keep his conscious mind alert when the deities ruling the four spheres appeared. There were powerful energy currents flowing from them. A huge thunderstorm started to develop outside. It began to rain heavily. The westerly winds came rushing in all force and were screaming to tear everything down on their path. It seemed as if the world was being thrown on its head. Doors rattled, heavy branches of trees fell and made a commotion. But inside the altar room, it was quiet, peaceful, and serene. Arya was in deep meditation, and so was Ezra. The energies were so powerful that Ezra felt lifted off the ground. He could not feel his own body anymore. He felt a cool touch on his forehead, and his third eye chakra was unlocked, as if it was an opening to another world. He could see a white marble temple with large columns circling it from all sides. It was sunny and the air was cool. Students in white robes and leather sandals walked on the corridors. They looked busy, talking amongst themselves and carrying scrolls. Some of them were sitting on grass and working. He saw young boys and girls with chisels, carving out letters on stones. He saw himself too. He was a scribe, whose duty was to record the events of the day, and he was working on the stones with a small chisel. "Please hurry, the master is waiting impatiently for your work to finish," said a young boy about his own age. Slowly the scene disappeared, and a man with intense eyes materialized before him and said, "I am keeping an eye on you." He looked strangely familiar, but Ezra could not recall who it was. Then he saw the building situated on top of a hill with the sea below. He wanted to enter the building, but try as he might, he could not enter. He could see groups of small clay soldiers stopping him from stepping inside. As they began to come towards him menacingly, he backed away. He opened his eyes. It took a while for him to recall where he was. There was heavy incense in the air. His mother had prepared several offerings for the gods. He knelt down and his forehead touched the floor. He thanked the deities for their blessings and prayed for the well-being and peace of all. He drank some drops of water from the sacred copper vessel and told his mother all that he had seen. His mother felt she knew the building, and together they traced the route to the place. "It is a temple of learning for students. The building is on top of a hill on coast of the Azure Sea," said Arya. "The place of learning is run by a powerful magician. He may be the one who has imprisoned your father. He is the reason your father left his family behind. He is searching for something only your father can find. No one knows his real name. He is called the Magician. People have told me that he has been asking about me. So this is where he is hiding your father. Ma, I remember now. You had sent me to this large house once to deliver sweets. Remember the big basket? I saw this man there. He lives there," said Ezra. His mother did not pay any attention to Ezra. She looked badly shaken. "Before searching for your father, you will have to go to the sacred sites to collect the magical implements. They have the strength and force to remove the most powerful dark magic that has imprisoned your father. This place is a mystery. No one knows where it is situated. We have to conduct the ceremony of the 4 gates and get an oracle to find your father." Thank you for listening. This was a chapter from The Legacy of the Goddess, Power of 4. Tune in every Friday for a new chapter. You can also buy the whole book right now. Visit legacyofthegoddess.gumroad.com to buy The Power of 4 in both written and audio format, as well as a special discounted bundle.